Everyone ready?
1, 2, you ready?
Yeah, but I don't say hello, right?
Yeah.
No.
1, 2, 3, go.
Welcome to the Pitcher Podcast, where the conversation is free flow, everything is on the house, and all we ask for in return is for you not to give us 1-star reviews. I'm Cody.
And I'm Ian.
And today we have our first guest with us.
And I'm Michael.
Well, there we go. Michael, could you give us a 1-sentence introduction of yourself?
Doesn't have to be one sentence.
How many commas are allowed?
As many as you want.
5'9", active exerciser. I'm an undergrad. In terms of drinking, I consider myself social. I'm a Sagittarius, and looking for something casual. Is there anything else that you wanted to know?
No.
No. I want to ask him one question.
I guess we're a match.
Mike, Netflix or Nightclub?
Oh, this is a good one. So, I think Netflix in a nightclub.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Real original. That's very, very good.
Okay, so now that we've introduced Michael, we want to quickly go into our first segment, which is Culture Corner. This week, we're going to be talking about books. So just to start us off, my book recommendation is Norwegian Wood. This is recorded maybe 2 weeks in advance, and I would hopefully be done with the book by now. But so far, I like it a lot. Great narrative. Very interesting coming from a Japanese perspective, like if I was to say. Mm-hmm. So, Cody, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is my university's integrated Chinese 4th edition volume. It was my textbook that I had to use for my Chinese class this semester, and normally I rent all my textbooks, so I'd return them at the end of the semester, but since our university went online and everything, and I'm back home in Hong Kong, I couldn't return it. So I'm stuck with it now, and so I'm telling myself that I'm going to use it to, revise and stuff continuously. But anyways, it was a useful textbook.
Cody's Chinese is really good.
It's
you wanna try saying your Pakfu address?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. All right, Michael, what's your recommendation of the week?
I don't really have one.
How about your French ants book?
You were telling us about it before.
Guys.
Just briefly talk about what it is. Okay, briefly.
All right, I'm guilty. I read French novels.
Guilty as charged.
So it's a book called Les Fourmis, and it's got two parallel timelines. One's about humans that live in Paris, and then the other timeline is about a colony of ants that live in a little colony outside of Paris.
Yeah.
And there are just a lot of interesting perspectives explored from both sides. I'm not going to get into the twists or anything.
Okay.
But what's that word? Just like studying caste systems in, the colony of ants.
Yeah.
I think that's like a really eye-opening part of what's called the Ant Trilogy.
Very nice.
It's Bernard Weber. He's got, I think, 3 books about ants. And can we please move on?
Okay. Anyways, I thought it would be fun before we get into kind of the main part of this episode, for us to just ease into it and kind of bring our energy levels up with a quick warm-up. And this icebreaker I've kind of adapted from my favorite podcast, which is If I Were You by Jake and Amir, but it's something they do before they do stand-up shows or before they do live versions of their podcasts. So I thought we'd try it out. So essentially, we're going to have a range of numbers, and then I'm going to count us down, and then we each have to keep guessing kind of in order, all at the same time, and we have to try to get the same number, if that makes sense. Okay, so if we can start off with just 1, 2, and 3 is our range, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then we have to keep saying it, and we have to keep going until we all get the same number, if that makes sense. Okay? You try it out?
I love the amount of effort for such low rewards.
Okay, let's try it out.
Cody just spat on Michael's arm.
Sorry.
Are we going to do one? Are we going to do 1 to 3?
Yeah, we'll start out with just 1 to 3. Okay.
And are you going to count us down?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, fine.
Okay. 1, 2, 3,
2. That was so easy.
That was really impressive.
Okay,
actually.
So can we do 1 to 10?
Yeah. Okay, we'll do 1 to 10. Okay.
Wait. I want to look into your eyes.
Okay. We all got to be synced up, okay?
Yeah, we know what we're gonna say, right?
Okay, yeah. We all know?
All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3,
six.
7! 1, 2, 3, 7!
1, 2, 3, 7!
1, 2, 3, 7!
All right.
Okay, so that was the premise of the game. So one person actually takes charge.
Kind of.
Well, that's easy, right?
Okay, we got it. We'll keep doing it though, and I'll try not to be the person who just
What's the range
keeps
then?
repeating it. Let's try.
Oh, you're not allowed to repeat the same number you said before.
Okay. We'll see how long this takes us. Let's try 1 to 20.
1 to 20.
Okay. 1, 2, 3,
13.
1, 2, 3,
1.
14. 1, 2, 3,
2.
5. 1, 2, 3,
6.
1, 2, 3,
11.
6. 1, 2.
Wait, the range is too big. Let's do 1 to 10.
Okay, 1
you
to 10
can't repeat
again,
the
but
same
no
numbers.
Repeating. Okay.
Guys, last chance.
Okay, 1, 2, 3,
3.
8. 1, 2, 3,
4.
9. 1, 2, 3,
6.
5.
Michael, you can't repeat the same number. Okay, we're skipping this. Okay, it's taking too long. It's taking too long.
Okay. Anyways, thanks for joining us for that.
I hope you guys played along.
Thanks if you're still listening.
As mentioned before, this is our first podcast episode with a guest. So today we have our friend Michael. Michael, could you just give us a short introduction about kind of who you are and how you know us?
All right, so I'm obviously on this podcast because I'm one of your closest friends. We've pretty much known each other since beginning of middle school, high school.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so about 10 years now.
Uh-huh.
And
What, has it been 10 years? That is crazy.
Maybe even over that, right?
Jesus.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry,
09,
carry on.
right? 09.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
All right, 11 soon.
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling you guys think I'm quite disciplined, quite organized guy because you want me to talk about, as far as I know, stuff like my gap year
Discipline.
and just pursuing different paths or chasing goals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about all there is to me.
Okay.
I mean, there's gonna be a few stories to help break that mold of yours that we're gonna get into later.
Oh, there's plenty of negatives.
There's plenty of.
And so many positives.
Also,
So many
Michael
positives.
wants me to clarify. On a previous episode when we were talking about graduation, I mentioned that I saw Michael tearing up. Apparently, he wasn't tearing up, so I just had to clarify that for everyone, according to as per Michael's request. You know.
You dodged the bullet.
dodged
I was gonna expose you.
Okay, like
I was gonna expose you.
okay, I actually thought you teared up. I swear you did. A bit, just a bit.
Then why was I going up to everyone saying, "Why the f*** is everyone crying? What's going on, man?"
And your observation about Will, what was Will doing?
So there's kind of like
dear.
a little banister half wall, like
In the atrium?
in the atrium.
Uh-huh.
He was just just looking into blank space, just contemplating. Just
Very well.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
very well.
Michael and Ian, if you can't already tell, get so defensive if anyone accuses
Yo,
them
well-
of crying. It's a
Okay.
big masculine thing.
Okay. I'm being defensive now just by saying this, but for people who actually know me, I don't cry.
Yeah.
Bar
Exactly,
that
me
one
too.
photo Michael kept posting about of me. Remember that crying photo that my
got it,
sister?
I got it, yeah.
That was back in year 7.
Well-
I don't even know if I was actually crying in that photo. It does look like I was crying, but I don't know how my sister took it as well. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. If we get 100 followers on Spotify, you
let's
can
chill
see that
out.
on our
Let's-
Instagram.
let's chill out. Let's
Everyone
chill out.
add us for that.
all right, I might follow you guys now. Jokes, I already do.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we've talked about who Michael is, generally speaking, how we know each other, we want to maybe delve into some funny memories. So kind of ask the same questions we asked about Cody and I in the past episodes, but
Yeah.
relay it over to Mike because, as you know, Mike's a really close friend of ours. We've known each other throughout, the 10 years, and we've experienced the same things as well. So where should we start off first?
I
high
guess
school?
wherever Mike wants to start.
Do you have any interesting stories about us, in the early days? I know Michael was a very eccentric kid back in year 7. Very, very, very different to who he is now. But Anything from high school? If you can't think of anything
I
at the
don't
moment.
remember myself being eccentric. Do you have stories about me that you want to educate me about?
It's hard to verbalize how he was back then.
I totally understand.
You definitely need to watch these videos. If we get 100 likes, I guess we're gonna put those videos up as well. We're exposing everyone today. But okay, let's just quickly glaze over that. Maybe try to think of something while we're gonna talk about the next thing. But let's talk about Koh Samui. Because
Sure. Yeah.
basically, just to preface, like around 2 episodes ago, we're talking about our experience in Koh Samui and how we kind of left Michael and Bleep behind. And basically, we want to get Michael's perspective on the whole situation since he wasn't at the party and came to Koh Samui late. So, Michael?
So just for context, this is what we talked about in our second episode, and it was when me, Ian, and our other friend Gareth went to a birthday party, and then Michael and the other person who was living with us arrived later that night, and we're just kind of waiting around for us to come back.
All right, so yeah, clearly you two and Gareth. So you're on the morning flight to Koh Samui.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of deserve it. I booked my flight late, so Lucas and I ended up on the afternoon flight. And I remember that day. So the first of the domino effect, I guess, just bad luck. We had, along with our villa, we had one shuttle for free to bring us to the house. So you guys already used that.
I forgot about that.
Oh, wait, they can't use it again?
No.
Oh my
We took
God.
that one.
So, no, we were actually waiting for an hour at the airport.
For a shuttle, right?
For the shuttle. You guys didn't even pick up the phones.
Oh, God.
So I think this is already past
Strike one.
your point of no return. So we finally get to the villa. It's nearly dark. And then we find out that, I find out I can't come to this party because, of these external
Factors.
relationships factors. And
You can't
Had you been expecting to go to that party before that?
I clicked
He was
going
invited.
on the Facebook
Yeah.
event and everything. I was excited,
Yeah.
And I was just pumped up for this trip. But we finally get there. You guys aren't picking up. And so it just ends up being me and I'll call him Quack, right?
Yeah.
Quack.
So Quack and myself, it's just dark and we light up the pool lights and then we get a bunch of these dragonflies that are attracted to the light and then 5 seconds later they drown in our pool. So
Were you swimming at this point or
we've
no?
got hundreds of flies in our pool just dead.
Yeah.
Just floating there, and I'm just getting Lucas to record myself doing backflips for a full 2 hours, and then you guys finally get back, and so Ian and Cody are totally just out of it already, and I won't forget the way Gareth was, because Gareth was so insistent on going out. Quack and I we were really just not feeling it at this point.
Yeah.
We were like, all right,
This is
this
a
has
really
been a
bad
this is a bad
introduction to-
first day.
yeah.
Let's just go on to the next one. Gareth came in with that taxi driver act on that big ass van, and it just reminds that painting of, is it George Washington on the boat?
Yeah, crossing the
war,
Delaware.
leading through the Delaware.
Yeah.
Gareth is like that, poking his head out the van. He's like, guys, get on the van. We're going out. And Ian's like, where am I, man? And Cody's like, oh, Michael, Quack, I love you guys.
In that moment, I actually thought I lost my credit card.
Oh, really?
Because essentially, I rushed into the villa, and then I'm very organized, so I have my passport folio.
Yeah.
And then I thought I put my credit card within one of the sleeves.
Yeah.
But then I woke up the next day and it was missing.
Oh.
And then I realized I put it in the back of the folio.
Oh.
It was a bit anticlimactic, but
Were you drunk and just panicking
I was
about that?
so scared.
Right.
I was panicking, but in the same time, I wanted to go out. So I was like, I'll just go out and I'll just deal with this afterwards.
Were you worried about it while you were going
Yeah,
out?
I was.
Okay.
But also, I was having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Michael, do you remember being fed up and annoyed with us when the car pulled up?
I was absolutely I was pissed off at you guys. I felt like I just didn't deserve any of this. It was just unfortunate circumstances. But I guess I was a good sport, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And
You were a good sport.
I ended up meeting like everyone like that went to the party, and then more when we got to like the ice bar and
Right,
Green
and
Mango.
we went to Green Mango.
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
typical Koh Samui stuff, and it ended up being a good night and a good trip as well.
Okay.
But just
It's just a very bad
all
start.
these
Just a
good
very bad
stories,
start.
all these good moments, these good trips, they just always seem to start off like rock. They're just
Right,
terrible beginnings.
For sure.
But
For
you
sure,
know,
yeah.
they always pick up.
I feel like it's best to start at rock bottom because then you can only go like upwards from there, right? So maybe that was a good thing.
Yeah, we say that now, retrospectively, when we had such a good. Okay,
yeah.
but the host of the party, bad move, man, putting us in a very compromising position.
Look what you did to Michael.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
who you are.
You know.
I think
exactly.
we remind her every day.
Oh yeah, we do. Last question. What was your conversation like between you and Quack like during that 2 hours? Were you just stewing and like mad at us, or were you like talking about how you wish you were there, or not really?
I'm just trying to put myself,
just
go
backflips,
back
just
like
the back.
3 years,
Just
4 years.
silently him filming you doing that.
That was a good one. That was
a really good one.
That was a really good
Go-
one.
go for it again.
Sad
Sorry.
thing is, backflips, front flips dominated most of that night. But I think at one point, remember he had a thing when like he first started smoking in front of us, and he was like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna go get cancer real quick."
Oh my god,
That's it. What a
I don't remember
joke!
that.
What a joke! What a joke!
that's so
So
great.
he probably busted out that line like 3 times.
Okay.
But just backflips, more backflips.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like they're like, "Yo, let's just do some backflips and front flips," and then like after 2 hours, we're like,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. TV, guys. Let's watch some TV.
Oh, that's so good. Anyways, Michael took one for the team.
Wait, but why did you guys arrive late? Why didn't you guys book the same flights as us?
Was it
They were
sold out?
full. They were
Sold
full.
out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
You guys booked earlier than we did.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely forgot the fact that we had one shuttle between our entire villa, and then me, Ian, and Gareth used it up.
Yeah, I didn't realize that as well.
We didn't even give them like another option or something. I slightly remember that in the day, but I think I just kind of like.
I remember
lost
being in
track
the
of that.
shuttle. I don't remember not like them not having.
Yeah. Well, because by that time we were at the party. I remember them like saying that they had arrived, but we like weren't in a state to care about that.
Yeah, it wasn't that great of a party, anyways, Mike. You didn't miss out. You didn't miss
I
out.
think it was a good party.
It was.
Yeah, it was
actually
really good. It was a really fun party.
It was really
It was
fun.
really good.
I was listening to our audio file of the second episode quickly, and I had one memory, and this is like again I think it was like my second time being drunk ever, and I remember this is when Gareth was like ushering me and Ian out of the door because we knew that Lucas and Michael were already like mad at us and just waiting, so Gareth was like forcing us to quickly like put on our shoes and get our bags and just leave and everything. And I remember kneeling down to tie my shoe, and then I was like feeling the music and everything, and I closed my eyes for a second, and I wake up on my back still like tying my shoe, but my leg was like up in the air. I was like, oh, okay, well this happened, so I just like got myself up and tied
A
my
very
shoe
Cody
again.
moment, right?
Yeah. But anyways, as Michael kind of talked about in the beginning, one of the things that we wanted to kind of probe Michael about was his gap year. So right after college, Ian and I went to college, but Michael stayed in Hong Kong for a year. So I was just wondering, Mike, if you could talk to us a bit about kind of like why you decided to take a gap year, kind of what you did, and what your expectations were going into it. I know it's a lot. I just dumped at you, so I can repeat.
You can
at
skip
any point.
over a lot of stuff that you don't want to say as well. Don't
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, I'll just like start with like pretty much the biggest reason.
Uh-huh.
And I understand like for most people, because we did the IB diploma, really stressful 2 years.
Yeah.
And once it's done, I can understand why people were burned out. So I was not burned out. It's just, honestly, I was not ready for the social aspect
Yeah.
of university. There's one like obvious reason. I was going to the UK, where the drinking culture is, you can't really compare it to, especially what we had, not just in Hong Kong,
Yeah.
but our school. We did
Yeah.
not drink at all.
Right.
So I only turned 18 years old a couple months into my first year, so I
Right,
didn't want to
right.
miss out on Freshers Week.
Yeah.
The first week where we, meet all the friends pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And
A networking week.
I mean, secondary to that, like IB just put me in a mindset where I need to study every day. I need to put my academics on top of everything else, I did less socializing and less sports throughout these 2 years.
Yeah.
So I decided I need to have some sort of gap year to kind of fill in where I came short in those preceding 2 years and try out new things and also catch up on other things.
Yeah.
So new things, obviously, I really, really wanted to get that driver's license.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You guys could, Ian could have, his own podcast about just driving. He's only been driving for a few months.
It feels like I've been driving for years with the way I drive, which is very safe.
The mileage.
Which is only
that
safe.
he's
Whoa,
racked
it's
up.
very safe, guys.
He's racked up a lot of mileage.
I have.
In only the safest way. But
Thank you.
You can't relate, okay?
Yeah.
You can't relate.
Oh yeah,
Not
Cody.
this
Cody
conversation.
never wants to drive,
Yeah. No, I never want to drive at all.
for environmental reasons.
For a lot of different reasons.
Okay, we'll skip over that.
Anyways, carry on, Michael.
So definitely I wanted to when I talk about having new experiences during my gap year, it's something that as corny as it sounds, it's all about seeking personal growth and getting out of your comfort zone. So I did a couple of so I did I did that kayaking
Leadership course.
all right, don't call it a leadership course.
It was. That's what it's called.
That's
right?
what it's called, but
You gotta.
if you see the people, it's just
You gotta dress it up. It's a leadership course, Mike. It's a leadership
it
course.
was a kayaking expedition for 10 days.
Oh, man.
So that was brutal. But I was surrounded by people in their between 30 and 40.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
this was me a couple days away from turning 18 years old. And that is the farthest social experience compared to what I was used to in high school. I would actually never converse with adults. All of my interactions with teachers were the most awkward thing ever.
Yeah.
Just my hands together like this and just nodding. But and then also just getting 2-3 months of work experience, being in an office environment, it just really allowed me to mature. And that's something that, if I hopped straight into university, I would have, still been surrounded by, teenagers, adults, and been up to the same antics. And it was just refreshing to, just put myself in a totally different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And, when I came to university 1 year later, I look back and I asked my friends, what are my first impressions? And it just surprised me. They always tell me that I was the most mature when I stepped into the flat.
Really?
And you guys know both the old me as well and the current me. I would not really usually give off that impression. So
Michael had a top hat, a cane, a tuxedo, walks in with a butler. Mature? What do you mean?
it's the CEO handshakes,
The
man.
CEO grabbing by the forearm.
But just also you see everyone else going to university and it's so easy to kind of fall into I'm not going to call it a trap, it's just go with the flow and do what everyone else does. And I just wanted to step back for a second, and because I've been doing that for the last few years, and we can talk about what I did this year as well later on. But
later on.
I did more of the same this year,
Right.
because I had half a year off, and I did more of the same, just pursuing new experiences. And I feel that if it doesn't make me more confident, it would at least give me, make me more interesting to talk. That sounds a bit. It gives,
It's fine.
I've got really more interesting stories to tell. So I'll stop right there. And
Okay, I got a question because you were talking about how you're prepping for the social culture of the UK. I have a question because personally, I think we have very similar experiences when we go to the UK in the way that personally, I felt very culturally different to the people in the UK. So I want to ask you, maybe first getting into uni and maybe the beginning of first year, whether if there was any culture shock or you felt it was very weird trying to assimilate yourself with the people at your university.
So, in the first year, I think as a result of the gap year and the time I took off, it kind of just made me a bit more versatile, more adaptable, and kind of set my expectations more in line with what I got in the first year.
Yeah.
I think it was a very red flag moment back in high school. We had these university prep workshops, stuff like, we had different workshops, like cooking for yourself, or
I remember
independence, so like doing your laundry.
Well, we had this?
And managing your finances. And then we had one session for culture shock.
Yeah.
I think this was run by Miss Crouch.
Okay.
So I remember that morning, like during our tutor time, she said, guys, who's going to the US? Who's going to the UK?
Yeah.
Obviously, like Ian and I, we put our hands up. And then after that, she's like, who drinks regularly? You know?
She asked that? That's such an invasive question.
Like, and some people did put their hands up, you know? I'm not going to name names.
We're all like 16 or 17.
We all know who those people were. We all knew.
But then she was like, well, yeah, the truth is, in the UK, the drinking culture is going to be very, very different to what you've, experienced in Hong Kong so far. And, I just didn't feel ready at that moment.
Yeah.
And I never really started going out properly drinking socially until I was legal. I never was like one to do like take my brother's ID, try and pass off get a fake ID. So I just waited it out. I also, as I said, waited till I was 18 to get my driver's license, and all the pieces fell into place. And by the time I got to university, I was like,
ready.
You're
ready.
Guy.
You're ready.
A changed guy.
You're a changed man.
But how about like the social, like apart from just the drinking culture, like socially, like people in the UK, their sense of humor, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think we're lucky because in SIS, prior to, most of them left after like middle school, like GCSEs. So, but for the most part, during the earlier stages of high school, most of my friends were British, and we had that sense of humor. I was already accustomed to that, but just the ability to be more open-minded and, like I said, go with the flow. That's something that I just became much more like malleable during the gap year.
Malleable.
And I think it went better as a result in my first year at university.
Yeah, for sure. When you were starting your gap year, like how did you go about planning what experiences you wanted to do and like how you sequenced those with time? Like, was there something like kind of like a master plan at the beginning of your gap year and then you ordered everything? Or was it like you just kind of went with the flow and when you finished something, you would think about starting a new thing? And that's how you kind of did it.
A master plan sounds so evil, man.
So definitely there was, it wasn't as good a plan as I'd put together today. I've developed in that area a lot.
Very humble.
But no, that's
planner.
just more so saying like how inferior I was back then. But my dad was absolutely against me taking a gap year.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
So he's always done this thing where I really have to articulate and write a formal letter. Or in this case, it's an email, where...
Really?
You emailed your dad?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god.
I've emailed like a Word document.
It has to go through HR, which is like
it was
your
like a
mom.
mini essay, but he wanted valid reasons. He didn't want me to just slack off, because you tend to either fall into that category of just taking it easy for the gap year, which my dad really wasn't for. So he wanted valid reasons, and I did have valid reasons. I had a list of goals that some I achieved. I've already mentioned those. Others I really fell short. Stuff like starting to read again. I read one book that year. I read one book.
Crime and Punishment?
Two books.
Crime and Punishment, right?
Yeah, I read 2 chapters of that. Get out of here. Get out of here, Raskolnikov. Can we take that out?
Yeah. No, we're keeping that in. We're keeping that in. All right, but go on.
And so also getting my, to be honest, Japanese, I wanted to get that back up to, conversational. One day, hopefully, be able to speak it in a professional environment, and that is probably the biggest shortcoming of my gap year, because I did take weekly lessons.
Yeah.
But 3 years, I think it's 4 years after now, I'm still not even proficient, and so I accepted that, but there are a lot of positives to take away from the gap year.
Yeah.
And as a result, I feel that it improved my university experience afterwards.
Yeah.
So many benefits. So that's why I always would recommend doing something like this. Just not going straight to university, or even after university, taking some time out, because these are like your youngest days, and this is supposed to be like the most fun part of your life, most experiences as well. Before you're locked into either commitments, family, job. So definitely try and make the most of your younger days.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good segue to one of the other questions I wanted to ask about, which is especially with COVID-19 and a lot of uncertainty about what the school situations will be like this coming fall term or semester. What would you say to any of our listeners who are thinking about taking a gap year, whether that's right after high school, or a gap year in the middle of their university experience, or after their university graduation or something? What would you say to anyone listening who's thinking about that?
So firstly, I'm all for just, you don't want to be one-dimensional, and I'm going to try and answer this question not focusing on doing everything just to put on your resume, get the job, because that's what most of our conversations are always about. But it's always good to just get new experiences, and I think in a time like this, especially when you've got a pandemic, something unavoidable that will impact everyone. Others will be worsely or more adversely impacted. I haven't been too badly impacted, but I've had a couple exams that I was preparing for that got pushed back, and I think everyone to a certain extent can relate to these circumstances that you've had potential delays, or your schedule for the next few months has been impacted in some way. For me, I always try and keep a positive mindset, and in this case, Hong Kong, for the past few months, we've had not just a pandemic, but other interruptions to do with the protests. So I was always thinking on my feet on, how in these next few months can I make the most out of my time, because I'm not going to have free time, much after I graduate university. So, for example, going to Rwanda for 3 weeks to volunteer with this microfinance charity. It was just something that, it was kind of an impulsive decision, because it was February, mid-Feb, and 2 weeks later, or 1.5 weeks later, I took the flight and I left for 3 weeks. By the time I got back from the volunteer experience, the Corona, first travel restrictions got put up in Hong Kong. Right. So it was now or never choice. I didn't know that at the time, but I just went for it. And sometimes
you just got to do it.
Impulsiveness is good.
I remember it was a week before Michael flew, and we me, Chris, and Mike were just hanging out, and Michael was like, "Yeah, next week I'm going to Rwanda," and I was like, "What?"
He just dropped that on you, right?
I was like,
"Don't hear that every day." Huh?
I was also kind of envious, because he had this opportunity to find himself, not find himself, but learn something new and be completely stuck in a new environment. So that really caught me off by surprise, but I think very admirable that Michael's willing to take such big steps, and also very goal-oriented when it comes to having that much free time. Which I try to learn about and try to implement, because I'm also taking half a year off, or just temporary unemployment, I guess. Because basically I graduated, and now I had half a year off before my internship in the summer. So I do think that Michael's approach in giving yourself some time to think and try something new is definitely the approach that I've tried to adopt in my half a year. Just trying to preoccupy myself with online courses, certificates, just side projects, passion projects, and just I think it's something that a lot of people don't like. It's not an option a lot of people take, but I think a lot of people should consider it if they're able to do so.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very important for us to have a bit of time to gather our thoughts and be able to actually, in a way, actually focus ourselves in the long run.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I don't know. We've probably touched up on this like very briefly, but we would like to ask regarding how you felt and how you dealt with your gap year life, when the majority of your friends were in university as well. Do you think that was kind of weird? What were your thoughts and feelings regarding that?
So, yeah, again, the idea of just being away from friends and, in multiple occasions, I immersed myself in different social environments, mostly older people at the office or like during these courses. So, a lot of my social life was with, adults and for an extended period as well. So I think that was just refreshing for me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I did have, friends studying in Hong Kong. It was never too overwhelming because, specifically Gareth. Gareth was going through like similar processes I was because we both were, taking a year off, not going to university.
Yeah.
Because there were other people just studying in Hong Kong, but they still were occupied with university
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
So, Gareth had his own objectives that he was pursuing. Same with me. But, we always just kept in close contact. And, another guy was like Nathaniel. And, that year I wanted in my gap year to, as I mentioned in high school, my physical lifestyle just kind of dipped during IB. So, he's like helped me get into the gym and, he was like my gym mentor. We went every couple days.
Your coach.
And so it was good to have these people around in Hong Kong, and just like balanced social interactions with different groups was really good for me.
Yeah, Michael got absolutely huge during the summer.
He really did. Everyone commented.
Nathaniel was his gym mentor. Michael was my gym mentor. I'm not saying that I'm huge right now, but I'm just saying.
You kind of were.
Thank you.
Maybe-
I was waiting for you to say that.
I'm just your hype man.
Do you have any questions, Cody?
Yeah, I guess also like thinking about that, what do you think it would have been like were you not to have so many people who were in Hong Kong that year? Because like you mentioned, like Nathaniel was here for at least part of that gap year, because he was going through like the Australian university application and everything, and then Gareth was also taking a gap year. But like, what do you think you would have felt like, or would it have felt different if those people weren't there, kind of as like a social safety net for you?
I don't know. I think one of the reasons. So I did this first, as Ian calls it, a leadership course. I did that before my 18th birthday. So in the beginning of this gap year, during that time, for example, like people like Nathaniel were applying to like their Australian universities, and I think that's when my social life was kind of the most inactive, just after everyone left to university.
Right.
And that's when I really began to start just writing a whole list of objectives. And I just signed up to different programs. That was around the same time I signed up for like my driving lessons as well. And it almost gave me a sense of urgency, but man, that isolation does suck as well.
Yeah.
Did you have any like kind of envy, like when you see people out in university and you're in Hong Kong, or not? Like a lot of would a lot of what you're doing just kind of cloud over that?
You see, like that stuff didn't actually appeal to me. Like all the clubbing and just the drinking at university, that didn't appeal to me until I actually got to live it.
Right.
Until I got to live it. Dude, I don't want to leave college ever, man.
Asher Roth,
baby.
I love college.
I love college.
So I guess everything just unfolded in a natural sequence, and that's just one thing I do. I just don't force it, and I let it play out.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, that's my motto right there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Okay, I do want to, before we end, since, Mike and I guess we went from, like, not working out to, like, working out very intensely. So, to the listeners, is there any advice you want to give them as to how they should get into exercising? I'm not saying we're experts at this, but, like, I think there's definitely some tips regarding motivation and consistency that you might want to give, because you saw results pretty quickly. So
yeah,
I mean, okay, I'm not a
Michael's
guy,
Michael's a fitness guru, by the way. Michael is a fitness guru, but go on.
I seem, especially, so I'll just start by saying that what you do in the gym is just as important as your diet.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people have said that in the past.
Abs are made in the kitchen.
And,
really?
okay.
I've never heard that saying.
Actually?
No, I've never.
You're not being sarcastic?
No, I've actually never heard that.
I've never heard that in my life.
I don't know. I swear I've heard this. I didn't just make it up, right?
Okay.
Abs are made in the kitchen. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So
Damn.
So as I was saying, so I think good diet is very important. And one thing I've noticed, which is kind of odd, but I'm not surprised because it's me. So when people see like what I eat for breakfast, especially when I went to university, when I kept up my like dietary regime, they'd always be like, "How can you eat that?" It's just I'm indifferent between good tasting food and bad tasting food. As long as I like the bad tasting food, if it's healthy, that's enough compensation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still get satisfaction from that
Because it's healthy.
Yeah, it might taste horrible, but
The nutrients.
if someone tells me this is really good for you,
yeah, it's better than this tastes really good.
but then you're gonna develop some sort of illness or it's not good for you.
Yeah.
I always have that voice in the back of my head telling me, if you eat this, it's healthy, or there are gonna be consequences.
Right.
So that is kind of what keeps me in check when it comes to dieting. So that's why I'm quite disciplined. I've never had a sweet tooth.
Okay, I think the reason why me and Mike are relatively successful in the gym is because I think we're very similar in that respect. We're both very disciplined with what we eat. Like I myself, I'm not afraid of eating really bland food because it's nutrient dense and it's good for you. So like during university for 3 years, I've almost had the same diet. I was eating almost the same thing. As you know, for the last 2 years of university when I started going to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's just like
Chicken and rice and broccoli.
That's what he has on the table right now.
Chicken breast, rice, and just 5 types of vegetables for lunch, afternoon tea, I guess, and dinner.
Did you get the frozen vegetable medley?
No.
At Tesco?
Shout out to Farhan. Farhan loved the medleys, mate.
The medleys, bro.
But that like every single day, like protein oats with like chia seeds and sunflower seeds every morning, fruits, and like I think I've built up this discipline because I'm used to eating a lot of healthy food back home, so I was never afraid of eating something that's bland, and I'm not. Yet again, I don't have a sweet tooth, and I feel sick when I eat foods that are too like strong in flavor, like every single day.
Okay.
So yeah, I can relate to Michael in that respect.
Yeah.
So,
But with that being said, let's not take like personal credit. I think both of us also a thing we have in common. We probably have like I've heard from like your mom and then also my mom. They just like play an active role in making sure that we eat very healthy stuff.
Yeah.
You would always tell me about the carrot.
Apple carrot,
kale carrot, or
no, apple carrot and potato juice.
So that would be his breakfast.
No, that was part of my breakfast.
This is back in the day when I was eating a sausage with mustard right before hopping on the school bus.
Okay, essentially, what my breakfast used to be for like quite a few years, every single day. Not that I'm complaining, I love it, Mom. But it's oats, like cooked in water, so there's not a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
Like different seeds, as I said, like maybe chia seeds. There's going to be a slice of ginger in it, and then on the side I'll have eggs. I'll have my juice, my apple, carrot, and potato juice, Sometimes maybe meats. My mom doesn't really like me eating meats, but occasionally that, and at least 2 different types of fruits. So I think like building repetition and putting yourself in that repetition helps build discipline, which I think is very necessary for people if they want to get into fitness, especially during this pandemic. With all the time we have, I think it's enough time for you to try out and build this kind of a disciplined life if that's what you want.
Yeah, for sure. I visited Mike at his uni. I think this is in like late 2018, and I stayed with him for a night. And I'll just talk about this, not anything else that happened. But we were planning like what I should be doing for breakfast, like when we were grocery shopping and stuff. So the afternoon before, I was like, "Oh, Mike, like what are you planning on doing for breakfast?" And then Mike was like, "Oh, I could just make you something. I'll make you like one of my my breakfast that I have every day." And then one of his flatmates came out of her room and she was like, "No, Cody, like you're not having Michael's breakfast. Like I'm not allowing you to eat Michael's breakfast." So yeah. Anyways, you heard it here. If you want to get
It's
fit,
not that bad though. It's actually not that bad. It just physically it looks crazy. But then when you break it down to what's inside, you're like, oh, fair enough, right?
Yeah, maybe.
You're gonna trust the girl that eats peanut butter toast every single day.
Damn, she's being called out right now.
Oh my days. Hope she's not listening.
Yeah. So, okay, I think that was a great conversation that we had with Mike. We want to thank you for, taking your time out to, let us interview you and let us talk to you on the podcast. So just as outro notes, please follow us on the Pitcher Pod at Pitcher Pod on Instagram. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a 5-star review.
Please.
We're going to be giving shout outs to everyone who rates and reviews us as well. So that'll be something to look forward to, I guess, if you want that. You can also subscribe and check us out on YouTube. It's just the Pitcher Pod, Spotify as well. Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Very nice. Thank you, Michael.
Hyping us up. And lastly, you can email us, DM us at pitcherpod@gmail.com with thoughts or suggestions or even segments that you might want us to do on the podcast. So we hope we can grab a picture with you guys next time.